Hey everyone, welcome to my July reading journal setup. Someone asked me the other day if my journal's still closed because of all the papers that I glue inside of it, and the short answer is yes. It does still close. Long answer, while it closes, it is super chunky, so the cover does sort of pop up, and by the time I get to the end of my reading journal, it probably won't close all the way. I personally love the way this looks and feels, so it doesn't bother me. To me, it makes my journal feel well loved and worn like an old book that you've read 100 times. I just wanted to show you guys that in case anyone else was curious. So I'm starting this layout the same way I do most of my layouts, with a pretty background paper. It may seem silly that I basically cover the whole page with pattern paper all the time, but for some reason, this is just the way my creative brain is working right now. When I first started journaling, I treated the page like an illustrated book with like white space and drawings, but over the last year or so, my journals have become more like a mixed media canvas where I kind of just put stuff everywhere. But for this month's setup, I pulled a beautiful floral paper as my starting point and used the coordinating papers in this paper pack to do the additional decorating. I loved the way I did my June setup, so this is almost exactly the same, just with different colors and different papers and stuff like that. These lined boxes will be used for the books I read in July. I do still put the dates I read the book as well as the rating. It's just much less structured than the way I was doing it before. And in case you didn't see my last reading journal setup, I got this idea from Mochi Bujo and I've loved it so far. I will probably keep doing this because I'm not reading near as much as I used to. I used to read about 10 to 12 books a month, but I'm not reading that many anymore, so this is actually perfect. And it gives that added decorative element that you guys know I can't live without. There is quite a bit of black in these papers, so I created a ribbon banner on scrap black paper with my Uniball Signo gel pen. At the end of 2021, I ran out of room in my reading journal, so I did really minimal setups, and I used this ribbon banner in every month from August to December. I loved the way it looked, and it makes me think of my early days of bullet journaling when all my headers were ribbon banners or flags or in decorative boxes of some kind. One of my favorite things to do with all these pattern papers is use it like washi tape. The moth paper was perfect for this since the moths were kind of lined up anyways. And of course, I brought in the grid washi tape because it's just what I do. I wanted to break up some of the pattern a bit, and while this pattern is mostly pretty muted colors, it's still really bold. And I kind of struggled a bit giving each element dimension. So that's what the grid washi tape is for. I also end up using the gray marker to give some of these lined boxes some shadows. It's a lot more noticeable in person, but it helps the individual pieces pop off the page. The line boxes had their own headers, but obviously I won't be using them in that manner, so I covered them with black washi. I like that it helps draw your eye to these boxes, but I'm not sure I love the way it looks. Honestly, I may take it off and just leave the headers as is. The moths felt sort of flat to the page as well, so I added some shadows using my fine liner, and it's kind of amazing how much that helped. For some reason, this theme sort of made my brain go on overload with the decorations, so instead of my usual small amount of random sparkles, I decided to do like a glitter factory explosion. Sparkles everywhere. It's probably a bit much for some people, but I kind of love it. I even added some to the paper because it just wasn't busy enough. And because I can't be stopped, I added some dashed lines to the moth paper. It just felt like it needed one more thing. I honestly probably could have kept going, but I really just needed to turn the page before it started to get kind of tacky. So for my tracker spread, I would like to tell you guys that I reined myself in with all the decorations, but that would be a lie. I'm starting off lining the top and bottom with this beautiful floral paper. I love the black background. It's just so pretty. Like I said before, I love the layout of June, so I Didn't change much in this spread except the stamp for my time log. I don't have a moth stamp, but of course, I have a butterfly one, so I stamped 31 butterflies to color in every day. There's just something so pretty about a cluster of butterflies on the page. I promise one day I will stop with all the butterflies, but I guarantee you it will not be anytime soon. I tried to match up the colors for my time log with the colors on all these patterned papers, and I cannot wait to see what these butterflies look like all colored in. I'm using another lined box for my header on this page. For those of you that are new to my channel, first of all, welcome. It's great to have you here. Second, let me sort of explain this spread. On the left page, I have 3 mini calendars where I track the format of the books I read. I have physical, audio, and digital. Right now, I'm reading a pretty good mix of all 3. The right page is where I put a photograph of my book of the month picks. I'll either take a picture of my books when I get them in, or I'll just use a picture of the covers that I print on my printer and put them inside the box. Book of the Month is a monthly subscription service that sends you up to 3 books a month. I've read a lot of books that I ordinarily would not have picked because I got them from Book of the Month, so I highly recommend this service. The bottom of the spread is where I will track how long I've read every day. I always say I don't know why I track this, I just do, but in reality, it's sort of a self-care tracker for me. Reading is probably the only form of self-care that I have at this point in my life, so I like to make sure I read a little bit every day, even if it's only 10 to 15 minutes and that's all I can squeeze in. It's just that small portion of time where I can just kind of step into another world. Okay, so back to the spread. I initially wasn't going to add a header for my format and time log, but like I said, I can't be stopped and needed to add all the stuff to fill up the page. Once I added a trillion sparkles at the bottom of the page, it felt a lot fuller than the top, so I cut out some of the moths from the strips that I cut and put them over the Book of the Month box. I'm really glad I did this because it brings the eye up and it also gives that flying element to the top of the page. After filling the whole spread, the calendars and the Book of the Month box looked a little flat, so I added a very thin drop shadow. Okay, we've made it to the last spread. This is my favorite quote and favorite book spread. You guys are going to be so proud of me. I have used my quote page this month. You guys know that I have struggled with using my favorite quote page. For probably 7 months straight, it's been blank. I have not used it. I don't know why I struggle with this so much. Since I started reading on my Kindle more, I've actually started highlighting my favorite phrases. It's just so much easier to highlight the phrases on the Kindle than it is to pick up your phone and write something in your phone or pick up a piece of paper and just jot something down. You just highlight it and there it is and it's saved forever. I get so easily distracted when I pick up my phone with notifications and things like that, so I actually try to leave my phone alone while I'm reading. I'm sure there's probably a way for me to highlight in audiobooks as well, but to be honest, that'll probably never happen. When I listen to audiobooks, it's mostly because I'm trying to multitask, so I just don't even think about saving those quotes when I hear them. Anyway, for this spread, I did the same ribbon banner as the cover page for the headers. I've used this layout for this spread for probably a year, so I apologize for the repetitiveness, but when something works, you just gotta stick with it, right? I did keep it much simpler than the other 2 spreads as far as decorations. I'm just using strips of paper as washi tape and a sort of backdrop for the banners. I do wish that I had spaced out the part where it says title, author, rating, pages, and thoughts. I wish I had spaced it out a little bit more. It feels really cramped in that spot, but I do have more room for thoughts, so I guess that's good. Again, I cut out some of the moths for another added element. I just felt like it needed something else. And I'm just going to finish everything off, adding in some lines to my favorite book spread. I may go in and add in those same faint gray lines to the quotes page too. I didn't do it because I tend to just kind of write all over the page my favorite quotes in like little bubbles and stuff. So I didn't really want to have the structure of the lines, but it does look a little bit blank to me. So I may go in and add them in later. I just finished it off with some sparkles and that's it. Okay, so that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!